On, guys. This is Rob. Welcome to this episode of the Weekly Poll. Of course, Benny is not here, as you guys can see. He's actually been in Los Angeles for the last few days, and he's totally exhausted, so he's taking the day off. So instead, you get myself, you get my, you get me, you get Sal, you get Joel, and you get Caitlin. This is not the Weekly Poll. This is the poll.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't want to be Captain Correction. Didn't want to block your shine, Rob. But you know,
Actually,
but anyway, yeah. So as you guys know, this is a little bit different from the Weekly Poll, in the sense the Weekly Poll is sort of overall general discussion about things comic and or geek culture related. But this deals largely with the comics that came out this week.
That's right.
So because we're basically kind of passing up, running over all the comic listings, we're just going to go ahead and just kind of jump into the ones that we want. Okay, can I start this?
please.
I want to start with Trinity.
Oh, okay.
yeah, wow.
Dude, Francis Manipool is amazing. Like, okay, that was such a good story, because for me, it felt like that and Superman, the Superman story arc. Like, I just finished Son of Superman.
Yeah.
That seems to like embody what Rebirth is.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Superman, this is why I think Superman is so cool in DC Rebirth, because in DC Rebirth, like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, like all those guys have all been there the whole time.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like a reshuffling. But for Superman, he's like a fish out of water. It's like this is not the New 52 Superman. This is the old Superman. And you see it in the comics, because he's like literally in Trinity, it's like I have to learn to get used to Batman and Wonder Woman, because they know Superman, but they don't know me as
Yeah.
Superman.
Well,
and it's so cool.
And
to
he's
see.
got to get to know them, because he knew Wonder Woman and Batman as well, but not these people, even though they're more or less the same.
I loved watching them reconnect, and this issue to me was so grounding in regards to like continuity and what's going on and where is everybody at in regards to how they're working together. What about Diana and Supadupe? Like, what the hell is happening? And this really helped ground everything and reestablish a lot of relationships, which I really liked.
And it reiterates the Trinity aspect too. I am justice, you are truth, etc. etc. Together we are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was cool. Like I like the whole idea of it being splooge. I don't know why I'm splooging, but I'm splooging. But yeah, it was really cool, because I like the grounding aspect is good, because it wasn't like Justice League #1 where it's like everything's popping off and there's mother boxes, and it wasn't
It
like,
was chaotic, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't super chaotic. It was like Lois Lane inviting Bruce Wayne and Wonder Woman over. And okay, here's something else that I really like too. I like the whole debate between Wonder Woman and Lois Lane, Wonder Woman is Lois Lane, where Wonder Woman's like, "Hey, look, I'm not here to try to steal your guy."
Right.
Yes, I dug Superman, but that was the other Superman, not this Superman. Like, I got no dog in that fight. And to me, that was
my
such a
life
cool
is
thing.
cray now.
Yeah, it's cray at the moment. Yeah, I really loved this comic. It was pretty awesome.
Yes.
Plus the ending. Like, okay, so what's the ending about? Let's talk about that first. What's the ending about? Like, they go into the shed. I guess they go into the shed, and it like they all saw it, so it's not like just something Superman saw, but it's like it's like Clark Kent and Jonathan Kent, I guess. Which is weird.
The barn is a TARDIS, you see, so when you open it up, it's actually bigger on the inside and lets you travel through space and time.
Well, I felt like they opened the barn and suddenly found themselves in a flashback.
Yes.
Yeah, and they all have that expression on their face like, are you guys all seeing this too? Which makes me wonder what exactly is happening. Are we seeing another rift into another dimension?
Yeah, it could be Clark's, like, current Clark's past. It could be post, like, New 52 Clark's past. It could be the missing time that has been alluded to in Rebirth. It could be really, really connected with the overall story arc of DC Rebirth, which will sideswipe you out of nowhere. You'll just be like going along like, right, yeah, this is some new stories. Then bam, like, oh yeah, that's right. Rebirth is an event that's going on for the next 2 years. Like, and you're just reminded of that usually at the end of an arc where you're like, whoa, what? Oh yeah, that's right. In 2 years we're gonna know what's going on. So,
or also maybe Lois just slipped some peyote into their food at dinner time, and it's just kicking in now.
Man,
maybe Grant Morrison was there.
Freaking out, man. Do you see what I'm seeing?
I know what you three need to bond.
Yeah, you need just a collaborative trip.
to go on a vision quest.
Which, by the way,
yes.
one of the things that I kind of felt like should have been in there was the conversation between Superman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Because when they went off, for dessert, and she's like, "Hey, Bruce, you should join him. I want to talk to Lois, whatever." Like, I really wanted to see the conversation between, because then like after that, they're just like, "Yeah, we're friends now." And, like, I really wanted to see what that conversation was.
We see them bond over kids, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling that conversation is coming. Like with what Joel said, I did like their little bonding over the fathership bond that they had, and that little reminder that Bruce really does view his Robins as his kids.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that reminder, especially since I read this right before Night of the Monster Men, so that little bonding moment actually helped sort of emphasize that relationship between he and Nightwing when all of that was going on. But at the same time, I still think that deeper conversation is coming. I just think they're holding on to it because I think Bruce still has a lot of reservations and isn't ready for that conversation yet.
Totally. No, there's no moment. It's funny because like for the last since post, like, well, all right, for forever since they established that Batman and Superman existed in the same universe in the 40s, Batman and Superman have been buddies. Post Crisis, they were frenemies. Like they reluctantly bonded, but had misgivings about each other. But eventually, that turned into that great series by Jeff Loeb and like just overall character building for 30 years, where Batman and Superman not only became friends but learned to like really respect the shit out of each other, and that has not yet been established by current Superman, by post-Crisis, pre-Flashpoint Superman, who now lives here. Because he's like, he'll deal with Batman, but there's no point where he goes like, "You and I are friends, man. Like, you helped me find Lois Lane when she was buried in a pile of bodies. You dug a kryptonite bullet out of my chest. Like, I don't care if it's you or it's the other. I know Bruce Wayne, and I know Bruce Wayne's a good man." Like, there's so far no moment where Superman is like, "I trust you." And I hope that there's going to be like a blowout moment where he's like, Batman's like, "I got along really well with the last Superman, and I have to assume that you and the last Batman had some kind of relationship. What's your problem?" And Superman's like, "I don't trust you around children, man. I have a kid now, and I view you in a totally different light. Like, I think you are wholly irresponsible." Like,
and also, your parents aren't dead, which, bothers me.
Yeah.
I think they're hanging on to that conversation. I think that conversation is going to happen during some kind of big tumultuous moment, and they're going to have a huge blow up at each other, and we're finally going to get it. But I feel like they're really hanging on to that conversation.
I hope so. I hope they're hanging on to it, not that they forgot about it, and eventually it's going to be like too late or weirdly irrelevant. 3 years down the line, there'll be like a big event with Aquaman in it, and Superman's going to be like, "Yo, by the way, Batman, I don't trust you," and Batman's like, "What? We saved the world like 12 times since then, man."
He's like, "You couldn't have told me this like earlier, maybe 2.5 years ago."
There was literally a day where you came to my farm and we just hung out for like 6 hours.
You couldn't have told me then.
Yeah.
We ate dessert together, man. Then you stuffed up my toilet. How does that not make us friends?
We carved a wild boar together.
They did.
Well,
they totally
We're bros now, man.
Yeah.
From my experience,
Rainbow Batman story though.
That was great.
That was amazing.
That's what I was gonna say. Well, from my experience with Francis Manipool, like his comics are usually lighthearted, like more lighthearted, especially like from his run on the Flash, or the first little while he was on the Flash anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if this portal that they see, basically, like, they're just going to start jumping through their own histories. And so, like, they all get to see their own lives from the other person's perspective.
Oh my god, that would be really cool, because then they wouldn't have to do any building. They could just be like, we're all friends again because we've seen each other's histories.
That would basically be it. So they're all like, we know what this Superman's about.
That would be amazing.
I would like one of those, please. So if you could put that in a bag to go.
Yeah.
If
you could call that the status quo, that'd be terrific.
Well, because that'd be cool, because then you just do that for like 6 issues, and then like that's your basis behind Trinity. Then you just go into the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, we all know each other now, we're all friends. But no, like Rainbow Suit Batman, let me tell you something, man. Francis Manipool, you drew the best Rainbow Suit Batman that I've ever seen.
Good.
It was amazing.
So damn good.
Yeah.
God, it was so cool.
I love
really
that
dug
you
that.
brought up that chicanery too. Remember when Robin's identity almost got busted and you wore a rainbow suit to distract from it?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Man?
Because that's what you did back on my Earth. You were cool like that.
You know,
Oh
also,
God.
just as
Well,
just
what
as an
happened to you,
aside,
Batman? You used to be cool. Like, and then the look on Bruce's face, the I'm not cool anymore. I grew up.
yeah, and I'm wearing a flannel shirt and look like a total dork.
Wow.
For me, that was also going to be like, that was the best moment where I'm like, the original Robin costume. We get to see it in a new book. Thank you.
Oh
Like,
God, yeah.
they're not trying to retcon Superman's memories where it's like, the longer I'm in this universe, all the pieces fit into it a different way. You know, like, no. I remember Robin, he had trunks and booties, and that was it. And it was cool, damn it. Jim Lee made it look cool in All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder. It is a cool suit. It can work. Damn it.
I'm
You
dead.
just need
That needs to
Manipul
happen.
drawing it.
That needs to
I
happen.
just-
Like Superman needs to be flying around and just overhear somebody just be like, "Yeah, could you imagine what would happen if Robin were wearing like that goofy outfit? Like he just comes swooping down and he's like, "Let me tell you something, man."
Yeah.
Like,
Let me tell you something. I rock these shorts.
I just for this rant, I now want a huge poster of this rainbow suit Rebirth Batman.
It's a full
Oh,
page
my
spread. It
God.
must be
Fun
gigantic.
memory.
That's a huge TIFF file. You gotta print that crap out. You go to Staples, make that
no,
a
you know what I would do? Like if Francis Manipul is at New York Comic Con, I would literally go there and be like, "Hey man, remember that rainbow Batman suit that you drew in like Trinity?" And he's like, "Yeah, like will you make that for me? Like just
I
draw
have a
that."
goal at
He's like,
New
"I
York
did already."
Comic-Con. Okay, my collector's goal at New York City Comic Con, which is going to sound really stupid, but I'm going to take one of my sketch cover rebirths, and I'm going to
Nice.
take it there, and I'm going to be like, please, draw me Rainbow Suit Batman.
Yeah.
And Manipul's gonna be like, "Oh, you think you like that? Wait till next week when I do, Zebra Batman and Mummy Batman. Oh yeah, I've got a
I
whole
just
bunch
want
of
a
Batman."
whole lineup of Batman Couture.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there will be no Francis Manipul at New York Comic Con this year.
I know.
Uh,
Sorry.
That-
Francis
to be
Manipul,
honest.
what are you doing? I'll just find like
What are
just
you
a
doing?
great big huge version. Like I'll do a Google search for like some 7,000 pixel image of that, and just like have that printed onto a poster and just
Yeah.
hang it up somewhere.
Can you
That's what I'll
send,
do.
can you send that to me? Because I need it.
Yeah.
Like it'll. I mean, I'll just do the comic page. Yeah, like I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because the comic page.
All right. Well, we've talked Trinity to death. Let's do the next book.
It's real good. You should pick it up. It's a
But
good
it's-
number
it's-
one.
But it's good shit, though.
Yeah, it's a recommend from everybody here across
Yeah.
the board.
It's hands down my favorite of the Rebirth series so far.
Oh, see, I didn't think it was my favorite, but I was happy that I left it for last. I thought it was sweet, but it wasn't as sweet as Superman #7.
That was
Oh
also
my
a really
God.
strong one
Superman
too.
The
number
most
7 gave me
adorable comic.
cavities and diabetes, and now I have a show on TLC.
Dude,
All thanks to
it was the
Superman
best
number
feel-good comic ever.
That's right.
Sure was.
So,
God.
Going to the
up and
county
away!
Ugh. And so
Are
that's
you
Tomasi,
kidding
who's proven
me?
himself to be like the definitive Superman writer for this year, like for this century, like
Yeah.
completely
Oh
rocks it.
Jesus! No, okay. So here was so for those of you guys who are watching right now, and like you guys, so I was hesitant about Superman because I was like, whatever, Superman comics are bad, I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
And Benny was like, no, man, you got to read Superman's son, Superman's son to Superman.
It's
And I was
kicking.
like, all right, man. So like I sat down and like, dude, I just tore through that, and I was like, this is the best version of the Eradicator I've ever seen. But I was
Sure
like, I was
yeah.
just like ripping through it. I was like, this Eradicator is amazing. But dude, that issue #7 just like it just set it all off. It's
Yeah.
just like a happy family moment. Like
Yeah.
it was a great way to end that.
Oh.
I hope Tomasi does that after every major event. He just gives us something fun like that.
Yeah,
Please
just
do.
just a bearings getting comic about the family.
these
Yeah.
grounding, I keep calling them grounding issues because they take you out of that, and then they remind you of who the characters really are as people and what their lives are like, and it makes it so much more impactful when shit really does go down. It's
Yeah.
so
It's a good
so
idea.
good. But there was like one issue that I had with this comic. It's the only issue that I had with it, the only problem, and I feel like I got to show it to you to really outline it. But Superman's face when he's looking at his giant stack of food, did you guys see that?
Yep.
That was weird shit.
It was very it was a little goofy.
It was gruesome. It felt like a villainous face.
Yeah.
Part of me is wondering, like, deep down, the part of me that's cynical is like, don't tell me that's a Brainiac plot.
No.
Please don't.
You can only be so cast in shadow for so long. I like this idea of like Superman swearing like, no, Lois, I'm going to come as Father Man, not as Superman to this county fair, and I'm gonna leave work at work. Oh, but I'm getting the itch though, real bad. These meth heads are trying to rob the carnival.
I'll tell you, man. You know what? I was expecting an All-Star Superman moment where you remember? Okay, everybody read All-Star Superman. You remember the moment when he's in jail and he can't be Superman and he has to be Clark Kent and he bumbles his way into defeating the jailbreak? I was expecting a Clark Kent like, oops, I knocked into the meth head and like I accidentally really subtly like shoulder checked him into unconsciousness, like just kind of goofily Clark Kent his way through the situation.
Jackie Chan it.
Yeah, but we didn't. Instead he just put on a knight's costume and then beat them up, which is like fine, I'll take it because it had that great sequence of events where everyone's like announcing what happened and he's getting into the doghouse with Lois, which is just gold.
I love the facial expressions in that scene, and when they're sliding down the roller coaster and she's like, "I do it."
Yep. I was like, this can't be the last page. Oh, it is. How great! What a delightful moment. No last page moment where like the parasite is like, like we're setting up some other thing. It's a done in one, a rarity, a unicorn in current comic books.
Oh
right
yeah.
now.
With the weird way he was looking at his food, I was really expecting a shoe to drop at the end. I was like, only I look at my food that way.
Right.
This is weird.
Well, that's great.
It was pretty
Real
solid.
feel good, real nice.
No, terrific. Any other thoughts, or should we move on?
This is another one you should buy from this week. Even if you haven't been reading the Superman book, you should check this one out because it's a nice encapsulation of what we like about it.
Yeah.
Read it right before bed on a rainy day with a warm glass of milk. That's basically this issue.
Read it after a very successful date.
Oh yeah.
Just end on a super high note.
Exactly.
So about Superman for a second, because I talked about this in like the Son of Superman series. Okay, so here was a really interesting thing to me about the idea of Superman in the new the pre-New 52 Superman in the New 52. So they bring him in, all right, Superman Rebirth happens, Superman from the New 52 is not coming back, pre-New 52 Superman's where it's going to be, and it's like, okay, cool. I was not sure about what direction things were going to take. I wasn't sure how it was going to be until the scene where after Jonathan and Clark defeat that octopus thing, and he talks to his son, and he's like, "You've always got to do the right thing, even if you think nobody's looking." And I was like, "Yep, that's Superman from before New 52." And I was like, "He's here." I just want to say I was so happy when I saw that.
Yeah. Because
I was like, "Thank God, we're getting that Superman back." I had to throw that out there.
Oh yeah.
I just had to say that.
I have to say, your face is lighting up as if somebody just handed you a puppy right now.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh, because that's the Superman that, look, I'm good with down to earth characters, but down to earth characters like Batman is a good down to earth character because he's just a guy who has a lot of money and gadgets and karate experience.
Not down to earth.
Karate.
No.
Underground. Batman is tumbling down the molten core.
I mean, in the sense of him as Batman is you can. All it takes is for somebody to figure out his identity, sit there with a rifle from 100 yards away, and Batman's not with us anymore. Like, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Like, Superman, it doesn't work. Like, I mean, I guess if they had a kryptonite bullet, whatever. But Superman, like, as a character, is designed to embody something greater, not be on the ground level fighting bad guys. No. And that was the problem with the New 52 Superman is, like, his emotions would get the better of him, and it was like, well, I'm not really sure, and he was kind of emo, and he was too human.
That's the thing.
Regular.
It reminded me a lot of the character from Irredeemable. It was like they took that character that was a parody, not a parody, but like, what if Superman was a real person, and they copied and pasted it onto New 52. I mean, yeah, he didn't kill an entire kindergarten worth of kids, but he was way more messed up than you'd want him to be, and it was just so dark. Wow. And that light in the DC universe that kind of pulled you away from some of the grit that was going on it vanished.
Yeah.
And it
Everything was darker because Superman was darker.
Let-
He brought the universe down a shade, and now the universe is back up a shade.
Well, we don't.
Yeah, dude, no, it's fun
Yeah.
because you read it like you read Superman, you read the Son of Superman, and it's like, okay, the Eradicator is just running around absorbing souls, like he absorbed the souls of the people who were on Krypton when it exploded, that's how he powers and stuff. By the way, awesome job. Peter, God, I can't remember his name anymore. Peter Tomasi.
Yeah.
Awesome job set, having that comparison, because those of you guys who don't know, before the New 52, the Eradicator was a guy who, in the reign of the Superman, he just absorbed, he found Superman's body, took him to the regeneration matrix, and then just fed on his energy while he was alive. What a great thing. Even the way we got, the Eradicator, the way he looked in the scene when they're battling on the moon, it looked like the Eradicator from before
Yes.
the New 52. So, thank you so much for that. But even then, during those great big huge battles and those great big huge, that huge conflict on the moon, it's like, oh my God, we gotta run. It's still like Superman talking to his son, you gotta know when to run and you gotta know when to stay. It's just the smart, wise, I've seen some shit, I know how to fight bad guys. Superman, not the Superman I'm kind of meandering my way through the world and hopefully I come out on top. Nobody wants to see that Superman. People want to see the wise, experienced guy.
Nobody has the patience for a Superman that isn't sure of himself.
It's true.
An unsure and an imperfect Superman, a Superman who doesn't know what the right thing is a Superman that nobody has the patience to read. And and it didn't work. Everyone thought that there was going to be a brilliant idea where they're like, no, we're all learning with Superman. You have a Superman deconstruction if you have a Superman that is unsure of himself. If you want a Superman that's unsure of himself, read Watchmen and read Dr. Manhattan or Irredeemable or Supreme or any other book in which a super character who's really strong from another planet wears a cape and professes to take over the world or take care of the world. That's a Superman analog. Real Superman should be sure of what he does the right thing, he never lies, and he's vulnerable to kryptonite. These are the tenets that make the tenets that make Superman work. Otherwise, you're not doing Superman. And New 52 proved that for the last 5 years, they weren't writing Superman stories. Even when it almost worked. Even when they had things like Superman Unchained was almost a Superman story, but he's
Super League.
But without any lineage, without any legacy, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly it, man, because it's a huge history built on the shoulders of a guy. Starting out, sure. There was a time, guys, out there in Twitch land watching this right now, there was a time when Superman wasn't really sure how to be a superhero, but that was in 1938 with Action Comics.
Even then, even in 1938, he was like, no, I've got this.
Yeah. There was a time when he wasn't sure.
Even you had books, I hate to do the deep dives, but if you read John Byrne's Man of Steel book, it was kind of post-crisis's attempt at bringing us new Superman. Even that Superman did the right thing. He wasn't sure if it was the right thing, but you as the reader knew that he was making the right call. You as the reader believed in Superman. Even if Superman wasn't quite sure of himself, he made the right call every single time. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And that's the problem, is that sometimes you'll do the right thing and it still won't work out. And that's where story comes in and you can have this character. New 52, they didn't... it's just proof positive that, when they launched New 52, just like when they did Convergence, just like when they... the reason why Rebirth works so well is because for the last, I'd say, 8 to 10 years, DC hasn't really known what to do yet.
Yeah.
New 52 was a half-cocked, oh shit, we could probably use Flashpoint, just make up everything else afterward. You need to take a minute and think about what you're going to do and project the next year or two of publishing, which is what they did with Rebirth, and why everyone was such a fan of it, and why people think it works, because they just thought about it for more than 5 goddamn minutes and just actually did the thing that they were planning on doing. Except you also don't have Rebirth without screwing up for 5 years. You need to have that low point where people were like, I don't know if I'm really into this. I don't know what to do. And they're like, we're bringing back the things you like. And they're like, oh crap, I'm buying it again. That's how you make that work. It was a palate
cleansing moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily palate cleansing, but I do think it was DC's moment of figuring it out and figuring out what works and figuring out what their formula is in this new era of superheroes. I mean, that's how I felt anyway, because we had Marvel being so supercharged, we have new emphasis being placed on movies and on TV shows. We had a lot, you know, people were dying over, not like dying over as in really enjoying and buying up lots of large events, and DC was wondering where their place was in a world so dominated by things that weren't necessarily their strong suit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Superman. Good
Real
book.
good.
We recommend it, all of us?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Should we keep going with DC,
Like,
or should we switch gears?
If you want to be, if you want to know that the Superman you're getting now is not the Superman you've seen, that will definitely.
Totally.
It's fun. Yeah. So.
It's
Should
good.
because we mentioned big major events there. Should we cross over and talk about the one big major event happening right now, which is Civil War 2?
I think we got to talk about Civil War number 5.
Okay. Okay, no, now I didn't think it was that bad. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but I didn't think Civil War 5 was that bad. The tie-ins are still stupid, but it was an entertaining fight. But it's this, like, Civil War right now feels as if they took the entire Civil War conflict and dissed it down to 3 issues. It's like, and then suddenly they're enemies. It's like, okay, I guess whatever. Like, no, you need a little more you need a little more expansion here, you know. But
yeah. It's
the thing that got me about it, and I'm sure you'll all agree too. So after 7 issues, and it is 7 issues when you count the 0 issue and the Free Comic Book Day issue, we're finally seeing the fight. You know, Carol and Tony going fist to fist. And then Bendis continually breaks off to tell mini stories about characters he likes. And then the Luke Cage fought the Blue Marvel, and then the Magic fought the Sam Wilson, and then Captain America fought Star-Lord, and this is what happened. It's like, but what about the other fight? None of these fight moved the story forward. None of these characters have any hooks in the story. But it was cool though, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't cool. It wasn't. It was really boring.
Tedious, and it was bland, and it was boring, and it was obnoxious.
And you wasted my time a little bit.
No, I wouldn't say it was bland and obnoxious. Like, okay, there were some things that needed to happen. Like in what universe would anybody believe that Luke Cage could stand a chance against
Blue Marvel?
Against Blue Marvel?
No.
Luke Cage's skin is resistant up to like anybody that can lift 50 tons. All right, like if they can lift more than that, they're gonna tear his skin open and they're gonna break his bones in half. I'm literally doing a video next week for the Luke Cage Netflix series called "How to Kill Luke Cage," and there's like a ton of ways to do it. You could drown him, you could do any number of ways to kill him, but the fact remains that things like that are kind of silly, you know, like you know, and then like Sam Alexander shows up and, you know, he was like energy blast, and then he shoots Blue Marvel. Okay, look, that stuff's kind of cool, but the issue here is it seems like they're just kind of drawing things out, like they're making it longer than it needs to be.
Yeah,
and that's one of the problems. But for me, the problem with Civil War isn't the Civil War 2 event. The problem with for me are the tie-ins. Like, I'd feel better if they just didn't call them Civil War, if it was just Wolverine. And then I would be like, hey, this has nothing to do with Civil War because of the last line that Laura Kinney gave when she was talking into, you know, Hydra, Captain America. Well, the way you guys do things is all going to shift and people are going to be a little more cynical, whatever. Just focus on this Gabby girl who's just going to be really, really bad, and Wolverine's the only one that realizes, or Logan's the only one that realizes what's going on. Right. Like, do that. Just focus on that. You know, don't call it Civil War 2 because it feels like I'm being cheated. Like, it feels like I go and I read this and I'm not being, you know, I'm being sold a bill of goods and I'm not getting what I paid for. You know,
tie-ins that aren't really tie-ins.
Aren't they adding another issue to this series as well?
I think they are.
So we're getting another late issue for this series.
It's gonna take till the end of the year to finish.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's delays aside, because that's a whole different argument. It's like, do they matter? Is it like in the grand scheme of things, like blah blah blah. But as far as this story is concerned, it's a big slap fight that doesn't progress the plot, except in regards to last page Bendis reveal moments, which is how Bendis writes comics. He always leaves the last page with one full page. It's always a oh my god, even if it's completely undone in the next issue. It's an OMG, like, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling trickery moment.
Trickery?
Well, because, like, I'll write 2 sentences.
Some kind of sorcery, I guess.
Right? Well, she cuts off she cuts off the sentence so that, like, it's almost a finished sentence, so you have to keep reading the next page. But, like, Bendis does the same thing, where it's like, dun, dun, dun. Like, every issue doesn't have to end with dun, 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 Bendis. But,
that's
really like
the problem.
Novellas, okay?
Well, that's a hallmark of lackluster storytelling. And don't get me wrong, Bendis is a good writer.
Bendis can write the hell out of stories.
I think Bendis writes good stories if he really loves the story. It doesn't seem like Bendis really likes Civil War 2, but I could be wrong.
This was a job.
I feel like Bendis drew this out of a hat. Like,
Yeah.
we had a lot of people who could have written this event. Bendis drew the short straw because we only had like 3 people who were really going to write this damn thing. And here it is, I guess. I mean, that's
the issue. Is if the only way to get people to buy your next issue is, hey, Miles Morales kills Captain America, then it's like, a what? I mean, I guess I'll buy it then. But it's not because you're not buying it because you're compelled by the story.
No,
you're buying it because you want to see whether or not he kills Captain America. And if that's the case, well, I'll just read the reviews for when the next issue comes out and find out if he killed Captain America in the future.
I know I've brought this up like ad nauseum, but A, Honey Bendis don't give a fuck, and B, this is what happens when you give a marketing team your content. It just reeks, especially at this point after this issue.
Yeah.
It all just reeks of marketing content. I don't think they were giving the writers the creative freedom and control that they needed to create a good story. This felt so driven by cheap marketing gimmicks and by the movie. They were basically like, how about we do, a really long story run based off this one movie that's coming out, and we'll have really good sales for like the first 3 or 4 issues. How about we do that? And it just resulted in something that was bad and half-assed. And
the worst thing,
it's just not worth it.
The worst thing is the character assassination of Carol Danvers, because she is going to be a movie franchise soon, and every time that they try to put her in the limelight, they make her look like crap. That Ms. Marvel series, the Brian Reed Ms. Marvel series, was really cool until it was pulled into Civil War. The Captain Marvel series was pretty good until it was dragged into something else. Sorry, Caitlin, go ahead.
No. It's no worry. I'm getting like overexcited because I am super mad about what they did to Carol. Because Carol went from the cool friend that you invite over to your house to play video games and bitch about shit to Carol, who invites herself to your party and won't stop hitting on your fucking boyfriend.
Right.
to Captain Authority, who's like, you're gonna do it my way.
Well, it's amazing because like she's in a weird position where no one in her position would be in her position anymore. There is irrefutable proof that what she's doing is the wrong thing, and nobody would be on board. Like, even if Carol was deliberately, obstinately gung-ho about her decision, which has turned from a ideology, or is turned from like a way that you like, it's turned into a religion practically, where it's like, I have faith in Ulysses, and even Ulysses doesn't seem to give a shit about what's happening. He's the worst kind of character in that he isn't a character, he's just a plot device.
In fact, one of the things I found interesting about this issue, probably the only thing that I'm like, that's a clever idea, I would have liked to see them explore it more. The Inhumans, who are kind of, Carol's cavalry in this issue, they bench Ulysses and make him guard the base, and he's like, what do you mean I can't take part in the fight that everyone's fighting over me and what I can do? This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Which makes him upset, and because he's upset, he causes everyone to have another big vision.
What a fucking tool.
It's just bad management 101.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard to dig Stark and Danvers out of the rubble of this event, because
I'm sorry I'm talking over you again, Sal, but it feels like Civil War has become an allegory for the 2016 election. It's just, I don't like either of them, and Carol's hair is now starting to remind me a little bit about Trump, and the way that she keeps getting away with this enormous amount of fucking bullshit and chicanery also reminds me of Trump. Now whenever I fucking look at her, I think of a Cheeto. And it's just not right what they've done.
It's another gross moment. We have the big meeting between Flash Thompson, Venom, and Miles Morales Spider-Man for the first time, which should be huge.
Should be cool.
And Bendis turns Flash into one of those people who's like, he's not my Spider-Man. And I'm like, no, we like Flash, Bendis. We want to keep liking Flash.
Well, is that even Flash?
Don't make him one of those.
When does this even take place? Is this replacement Venom?
No,
I don't know.
He's on the Guardians team. It's Flash.
But isn't he not? Didn't he come home? Isn't he back on Earth? And isn't he not a Guardian anymore?
You want to talk things that don't make sense. Old Man Logan and Luke Cage are on Iron Man's team, even though in their tie-ins they're not. And also Captain America is on Iron Man's team, even though in every other tie-in he's been with Carol every step of the way.
Yeah. It's just, it's so frustrating because no one believes in this event. Like, no one is on board for it. No one is excited for it. Nobody believes that the story was made because somebody really needed to tell the story. And so, as such, it will ultimately be... And it's only 5 issues, and you got 3 more, and the last one's a double-sized issue, and the status quo is going to shift post-Civil War in only less than a month.
Yep. And thanks to leaks, we already knew what those changes were going to be, so it's not like, well, how are we going to get there? We already
Not
know
even
how we got
leaks.
there.
They were just announcements. They're just like, well, here's the solicitations for what's coming out in October, and so we know how it ends.
I just feel like every time I see an issue of Civil War on the comic book rack, it feels like one of my friends shoving their shitty-ass fan fiction in my face, going, read it. Can you please read it? I want your honest feedback. And I'm like, please don't make me read another one. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I know I have to, but I can't do it anymore.
Just because you hate your own writing doesn't make me a bad person.
I just...
Nice reference.
It's that episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
It's that episode of Rick and Morty with the writer.
Yeah, it's just the lighthouse guy.
I bring you into my home and you shit all over it. You're bad people.
You don't have to mollycoddle me. Anyway, let's get out of Civil War. This place sucks.
It's Bat Country. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. Speaking of Bat Country, Batman 7.
Yo.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Cool new event.
That was some good shit.
Yeah.
Giant monsters. What is it with giant monsters? We talked about Marvel doing giant monsters, and now DC's beating them to the giant kaiju monster. I didn't think the Monster Men were going to be huge. Did you?
I didn't really. I didn't know what the hell the Monster Men were going to be. I was like, what? I thought it was going to be like an organization, like the Court Owls. No, giant monsters.
I love that it was literal. It kind of knocked my socks off. I really thought it was going to be some Stephen Moffat, Doctor Who, Court of Owls, we live under the sewers and we're monsters.
No, it's Attack on Titan and Batman.
It is Shingeki no Batman, and I freaking loved it.
It was creepy and weird and cool and fun. It was, damn, was that art fantastic?
The art was so tasty. Oh my god, there was so much dick.
Did you guys catch this too, Tom King? Something that's becoming a theme for his work. He gives Batman shiny new toys, only for Batman to destroy those toys by driving them into something. I like that. I like that. That's what his Batman does.
I like that moment.
Love all the cool new gadgets. So good.
That moment where he's just like, Steel was right, handles like a dream. I'm like, Steel made suits for Batman? That's cool. We're one step closer to Iron Man Batman.
I'm looking forward to more Mecha Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Dr. Hugo Gaines too? That man getting ripped.
It was like
five for that pun.
Yeah, there you go.
It was like they were like, "Whoa, people seem to like J.K. Simmons getting jacked for Gordon. Let's make Hugo Strange a monster too." I guess because he'll fight Batman later.
You figure because one of Strange's things is that like I will be Batman. I will become a Batman. I gotta get sick traps, bro. Peaks on peaks.
Yeah.
He's not just gonna beat Batman. He's going to break Batman.
He will. We're gonna see a Bane moment.
I feel like we are going to see a Bane moment.
Yeah, big time.
That last moment though with Gotham Girl, the ending where we left off, where she's gonna go fight the Monster Men now and be a god for 30 seconds. I knew she was gonna get done. That was
Nightwing, and it's fun. I like what they did.
Nightwing. Sorry, they're overlapping for me.
They are.
It is, but here's the thing. I kind of like that about it, where it's like, here's the Nightwing book. It'll focus on Nightwing a little bit, but it's really just chapter 2 of the Monster Men is what it is.
I love that so much because when I finished Batman, I was like, no, I wanted more. What?
Yeah.
And then we go to Nightwing, and I'm like,
oh, more. Yeah, it was sick.
It's pretty solid. I like the whole hurricane thing too that they've benched this event in, where it's like, look, monsters are bad, but also a hurricane is coming that will flood all of Gotham, so watch out for that.
We're not just defending people from monsters, we're also trying to protect them from the elements, which we have no control over it. I mean, obviously the monsters are a representative, or the hurricane is a metaphor for the monsters, like it's an onslaught that you have no control over, that's natural, like blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's also a cool juxtaposition for the Bat Family. I've never really seen the Bat Family deal with a natural disaster outside of a hurricane, or of an earthquake.
A pretty big one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody knows about the earthquake. But outside that, like, I've never really seen, like, a monsoon hit Gotham. And I'm like, living in the shadow of New York City, like, there have been some serious, like, heavy storms that hit here, and it really knocks the crap out of the city for a while. And it's kind of fun because like there's always 1,000 people in front of you when you're in the city, but like when that storm hits, like everybody's got to go inside, and like some people have to be evacuated, and it's a whole shit together, and it's millions of dollars. No matter if a single building is damaged, it's just a mess. So it's cool to see them actually like carry that over into the book.
It's definitely something Tom King seems to be exploring in his work too. From the plane in issue 1 to now this hurricane, it's like, look, Batman's prepared for everything. Well, try and fight this plane. Try and fight this hurricane. You can't do it, can you, Dark Knight?
Yeah, and yet, like, all things that would or invariably could affect Gotham in a very serious way. It's not just like, weird shit is happening or like Metallo's attacking. He's not just trading villains. It's just legitimate disasters that we take for granted.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's really refreshing because I feel like the temptation with Batman and even with Nightwing or anything in the Gotham kind of universe is to just change out your villains because the villains are so good and they're already so well developed. And the fact that they're not doing that and they're kind of going out of their way to create these new situations and even utilize the elements is super refreshing.
Totes. Rob, did you read this issue?
Actually, I really couldn't get into it, man. Like
what?
Night of the Monsters? No, because it's for the same reason I don't dig Justice League Dark. I cannot get into like darkness and stuff like that. I mean, I know it stretches over. Like I think Nightwing even tied into this, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like
all the Bat books are tying into it, except for Batgirl.
All right, so because I didn't really dig this, like, should I cast that aside and read it, or?
I don't know. No, I think you're fine. Like, it's just we have different opinions. I just wanted to know. I was like, oh crap, Rob wasn't a fan. Like, why? It's just because it's too dark. It's too like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm not really into like the monster supernatural kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so and with Batman, it's kind of like, why are there monsters? Like, I get you there.
Technically science fiction, which they make a point of stressing.
Yeah, but it's monsters.
It's more a matter of taste for Rob.
Yeah. Let me tell you, like, Attack on Titan, I do not like visiting that universe at all because it's so gross and depressing. So
love Attack on Titan.
What's in the basement?
A jam. Oh,
I don't care what's in the basement.
You found out what's in the basement.
You're all dead.
They're all dead.
You're all walking corpses. It's the end of you.
I will never get over that scene, and I know this was super early in the anime, but I will never get over that scene where Eden is inside the Titan's stomach and he's watching people's body parts float around and hearing someone crying and dying, echoing in the cavernous stomach of this beast. Yeah. And he's like, oh dear God, this is how I die. And I'm like, that's some good shit.
That's some rough shit.
That's some rough shit.
I will be right back.
All right. Rob, is there anything that came out that we haven't covered that you really kind of dug?
I'm sitting here trying to think.
I should look over the list.
All right, so Justice League.
League.
Oh.
So, all right, as far as I understand it, because I haven't had a chance to get caught up on that, as far as I understand, the Justice League and Cyborg series are kind of going hand in hand. Like, they're sort of explaining that, like, when, Silas Stone created the body or created the cyborg body for Victor, that he used, like, the Purge technology, like, unknown technology that belonged to the Purge. Because, like, when they went there, they all looked like, all those Purge people looked like Cyborg.
Oh.
I don't know. I read about that online, but I'm not sure if that's the case. I haven't really been keeping up on Justice League at all.
No, it's not a good book.
Oh. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, Brian Hitch should just stick to drawing Ultimates. It's just not very well written. The dialogue's real poor, and the story is kind of like, he wants it to be really epic, so he's putting like 3 different epic things all at once, and it's just a mess.
I can't with this. It looks like a toddler had a concept of the Justice League and then put a bunch of glitter on it.
Right? Just I want to improve it a little bit. Meh.
Let's just smack some macaroni and some glitter in a stick figure of my mom and give it to the fans.
God.
Just for you.
Crap! Yeah. There was a Harley Quinn book. Caitlin, is there?
Yes.
What's the deal with Harley this week?
What's the sitch with Harley? Yeah. Unfortunately, I got a chance to flip through it, but I haven't had a chance to actually sit and read it.
Fair enough.
Something I enjoyed, though, with the way that they've formatted it is we had those first 3 issues, which were all their own contained story and a nice carryover from New 52, because we're just continuing with that timeline, even in her Rebirth.
Nice.
And now with issue 4, we're kind of moving on from this anti-hero sort of persona. So we had a strong anti-hero persona in those first 3 issues and at the end of New 52, and now she's kind of going back to being a gangster and a mercenary and like doing shit for hire and being more of a villain protagonist than an anti-hero.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I can already tell I'm probably going to like this, but I haven't had a chance to fully read through it.
Fair enough.
But going back more to her villain roots, which I like.
That's cool. I never really bought her as a hero, so I'm kind of okay with her being not that anymore. We'll have to check with Joel.
One of the things with New 52 was she started as a villain, and then she moved on to being an anti-hero over time, and I was like, eh.
Joel, did you read Harley 4?
No, I did not yet. How was it? Was it okay?
I don't know.
I figured Caitlin had read it. I was asking.
Not
her.
yet. No.
No, I haven't read it yet. I've just had a chance to flip through it, and all I can tell is that she's moving on kind of to a mercenary like assignment, and she's sort of going back a little bit more to being a villain. You can kind of tell they're transitioning her back to that. At least I hope so. I hope they don't start trying to form her into the hero box, because I've never been a fan of that.
I'll get to it.
Now, from what I can tell with because I kind of skimmed through it too, but it looked to me like they were taking the Margot Robbie route.
Yeah.
Like they're like Margot Robbie was super popular as Harley Quinn, and I wouldn't say they're molding her into that, but they're certainly not shying away from it.
More chaotic and neutral.
Well, the thing with Harley is that they're really trying to line up her personality from the New 52 into the Suicide Squad comic, the Suicide Squad Rebirth comic, because in New 52 there was a huge disparity in personality between her New 52 persona and her Suicide Squad persona. They were completely different people, and it was sort of jarring to go back and forth, but now they're trying to line it up, and they're pulling in more elements personality-wise from her Bruce Timm incarnation.
Gotcha.
Which I've been liking a lot more than just purely her New 52 origins.
Solid.
So they're doing good things with her. I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Cool. Did anybody read Amazing Spider-Man number 18?
I did.
Yeah, me too. Joel, let you take point on Amazing Spider-Man number 18 by Dan Slott.
I can tell that Sal tone.
I can hear the poison in his words.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Man.
We'll get into it.
Just settle in for a rant.
I'll keep it brief. But Joel, let's hear what you had to say about Amazing Spider. This is what is this technically even part of Dead No More, or is this still a prelude to Dead No More?
It's before Dead No More.
Christ Almighty.
So much like the previous issue, which was a Prowler-focused issue that focused almost not on Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man literally is Peter Parker has a cameo in that issue.
Yep, same goes for this one. Instead, the limelight is put on Dr. Octopus, the superior Spider-Man, and we get a bunch of questions answered of, okay, how did he go from the future in Spider-Verse and that alternate reality to the brain robot and what's going on with him after that. It's all on him. It's on his many evil machinations and attempts to get a body. They reestablish his relationship there with Anna Marie and how, he's pining and he's heard how he can't be with her and he's pissed off because she's dating a cool British guy with an accent. Mm-hmm. And he's like, fine, then I'll just download my brain into him then. Oh, no, damn it. I built this technology with only my brain and Peter Parker's in mind. Shit, I can only download my brain into his and I'll never be able to catch him off guard because I did it once before.
Yeah, and he built that shit into his suits already. As I understand it, this is, you could imagine all of the things that take place in this issue. And once you knew that he was in the living brain, or once you suspected he was in the living brain, which we all did when they brought the living brain into the lab, well before Superior Spider-Man was over, one of the things I was really worried about was that they were going to have Dr. Octopus kind of either skip a learning period, we have a gap in Dr. Octopus's brain where it's he missed the lesson from Superior Spider-Man.
He did. That's the thing. In fact, he freaks out when Peter Parker reiterates the lesson, and that is, in the end, Dr. Octopus found love. Love made him a better person, and to save Anne Marie, he let me be Spider-Man again. And Doc can't handle that. He freaks right the hell out. No, don't teach me a lesson.
Right. That is so frustrating and crappy because you could actually have more story potential with a character that like sacrificed everything, lost everything, and only by the grace of the Jackal is able to come back to life. Like, you could actually have superior... I mean, well, I always argued, like, you could have had superior Spider-Man at any point. When you decided to kill Kane in Spider-Verse, you could have easily had Dr. Octopus, during Spider-Verse, download his consciousness into Kane in the same way that he took over gradually throughout Amazing Spider-Man. He could have taken over Kane's body, and then resolved to be the superior Spider-Man, and then just competed with Peter Parker over Spider-Man being two Spider-Men.
That would have been cool. I think the big thing of this story was to try and show, you know, like Otto having a breakup essentially with the idea of Spider-Man and being any type of Peter Parker. So eventually when he goes to New U, build me a new Doc Ock body like the one I had before so status quo can be maintained.
That's
and
exactly
I can come
where
back
we're
as
headed.
Doc Ock everyone remembers.
Yeah, we're going in that direction where he is going to grow a new fat Dr. Octopus body. Which is just such a stupid idea, and so
at least make me look like Alfred Molina, where I'm like fat fit.
I'm 50s fat.
Make me like one of those cool, like, you know, turn of the century strongman weightlifter guys.
Yeah, where it's like, are you fat or not? I can't tell.
I'm fat.
The thing. Okay, I've talked about how terrible this book is for a while. At least Cam McCauley's not drawing it right now, but he'll be coming back very shortly. The thing that really frustrates me the most about Amazing Spider-Man, since its relaunch, is the Alex Ross covers.
Yeah,
because I remember a time when Alex Ross didn't do everything and wasn't around all the time, and when Alex Ross did something, it had gravatas and it mattered.
Special.
You're like, whoa, Alex Ross did a thing and it looks freaking awesome. And it's like, only by the grace of the comic book gods did Alex Ross decide to sit down and paint something magnificent. We've had an Alex Ross cover, we've had 18 of them. Each one portrays a disappointing and lame Spider-Man moment. And unlike every comic book cover you've ever seen in your life, the covers dictate exactly what happens in every book, or at least represents what happens in every book. So not only are they disappointing comic books in general, but Alex Ross is depicting disappointing moments in Spider-Man's history that will not be remembered forever. Like, remember when they called Alex Ross to paint the recap for Spider-Man 1 in the intro credits for Spider-Man 2? That was epic. That was like, look at these key moments from Spider-Man that will remind you of how much you loved it, but also ground it in comic books. These are just like, so Spider-Man wasn't in this issue, remember? Look at the beautiful Alex Ross art that depicts that moment when Spider-Man didn't do anything. Or when he disappointed everybody. Or when he failed again. Or when he, like, failed to save another character. Or when he compromised his morals yet again. Like, these are not epic, and they're frustrating because when you have a AAA selling title, it needs to have AAA selling writers, artists, and covers. Otherwise, what the goddamn hell's the point? What is your number one book? What is your AAA selling title? Like, Justice League should always have a great art. Justice League should always have a great writer. You should always have either Jeff Johns or somebody up there writing and drawing it. And I don't get it. I just don't understand. I mean, I do understand. It's that Marvel doesn't care. Marvel, it's the same. It's why Civil War is like limping on and on. It's because they don't care. Marvel doesn't care. They're like, well, we got the movie money and we got Disney supplementing us. We could literally fail upwards for the next 10 years and it wouldn't matter. We can put out whatever we want. It doesn't matter.
So what you're saying is you like the issue.
Oh, it's fantastic. You should definitely spend $4 or $6 or however the hell much this stupid book is, and enjoy watching Prowler die and then be brought back to life, or watch Dr. Octopus reiterate all the shit that if you have two brain cells to rub together, you could have figured out for yourself.
Yeah, you have the entirety of the internet at your disposal. You know,
like, yeah. I guess I have more good faith in the tank than you did, or maybe
why?
It's just such a Doc
what
Ock
evidence?
mark.
What has proven its worth? Like what evidence proves that this is going in a good direction?
Maybe I just like Schadenfreude more than you. Now what's gonna happen?
I mean, I like watching it fail, and as much as no, I don't want to no, I don't. I like watching The Room, and watching Tommy Wiseau fail. These are comic books.
Hi, Peter.
I'm having a hard time trying to explain to people why they're legitimate and cool anyway. I don't need the best-selling titles in Marvel Comics like lineup being garbage.
Yeah.
I I completely agree with all of this. And something that was so funny was that as a collector, Alex Ross is one of those people where if you get a variant or you get a cover on any kind of key issue with Alex Ross, that is a collector item. That's one of those things that you snap up and you put in your pull box and you don't touch it because it could increase in value at some point.
Yeah.
And for what he's put out recently, I have heard absolutely nothing from any collectors on any Alex Ross covers in regards to Marvel.
No, he's flooding the market with his own brand.
Yeah, see, that's like I agree with Sal. Yeah, like I agree with Sal on that, man. Like, okay, Alex Ross did Marvels, and Alex Ross did Kingdom Come. And it was like, oh my God, a whole Alex Ross, like a whole comic of Alex Ross art. And it was a beautiful thing to see. Like, it really was like this, like when they said Alex Ross is doing all the covers for Secret Wars, it's like, okay, that makes sense. This is Marvel rebooting.
Yeah.
This is a huge deal. Like, yes, definitely calling Alex Ross. He does amazing art.
Yep.
But yeah, when you see him everywhere, it's not like, it's like Stan Lee's autograph. All right. People ask me, people are like, yeah, man, like, have you ever gotten anything autographed by Stan Lee? It's like, not anything of worth. Like, not anything that I'm going to sell later on. Like, I got the cover of what is it? Superior Iron Man #1. I got that autographed by Stan Lee because the man's almost done with all his living. Like, you got to get something signed by him soon because you won't be able to do that in like 2 or 3 years. But in like 1966, 67, 68, 60, even 1975, Stan Lee's autograph was worth a lot of money because the circuit wasn't nearly as big as it is now. But he's been to so many conventions over the years, and he's signed so many things that now, if you go and get Stan Lee to autograph something, it's actually worth less than if he hadn't signed it. And so
dude's made his own name worth nothing.
Yeah, dude's made his own name worth nothing. And Alex Ross art will never not be good. But I'm with Sal on this. Like, there comes a point whereby you go and look at a comic and you're like, oh my God, that's Alex Ross art. And like, you want to read it because you're just like, I mean, it'll like, because the art is something that draws me in. That's why I love Trinity so much. The art was just as good as the story.
Yeah.
But,
same guy,
too. Yeah, but that's why, it's the same guy. But that's why I couldn't really read like Punisher, for example, because the art just wasn't that great. But for me, like, to see something by Alex Ross is just like, wow, this is going to be good, because Alex Ross wouldn't put his name on it if it wasn't going to be good, you know?
Yeah.
But then you see it everywhere. And then you see it with Spider-Man, and it's just kind of like, which, by the way, yeah, I remember skimming, like, I skimmed over that. Like, I skimmed over the comic. That's what I did. Like, I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's about Doc Ock. As soon as I turned the first couple pages, and it was a rehash of Spider-Verse, I was like, okay, we'll just skim over the rest of it. And I was like, yeah, don't care. And then I was like, done.
Yep.
You know, I don't care enough. I don't care enough about Dr. Octopus.
It would be like, because Alex Ross done some books that are, you know, he's done some epic stories, Marvel's Kingdom Come. He's done some stories that are pretty good, but not as great. But like Justice, which is a fine comic. It's a solid book. Also, Alex Ross. Then you have something like, but it would be like if Alex Ross did Cry for Justice,
ooh.
where you're like, what the hell? Like, nothing in here reflects how great this cover is.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way to put it, actually.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just go off about Spider-Man again. It just drives me nuts.
It's all right.
But
by the way,
the rant.
for those of you guys out there in Twitch land right now who aren't really sure about Alex Ross, go look up Alex Ross's Justice Society, or go look up Alex Ross's Avengers, and the art for that is unbelievably good. Like, it's insane.
Yep.
Like, it's really good stuff.
I mean, like, if you just grab Kingdom Come, it's like Watchmen in as much as you can just look through each panel has a lot going. It's so dense. Every frame has so much going on.
Dude, that's why I say, like,
a portrait with a plethora of features.
Yeah, like if, I mean, it would be an insane amount of work to do, and it would take years to finish. But I want a Jonathan Hickman written Justice Society story drawn by Alex Ross. Like, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be so good.
It would
Put that one in your dream journal.
Berserk does to come out, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or the last Game of Thrones book.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
the book is never coming out.
No.
Well,
It'll come out. It'll just be ghost written.
No, J.R.R. Martin, or whatever his name is, like, he'll die before that book
You
comes
made
out.
like J.K. Rowling and George R.R. Martin and Tolkien.
Yeah. George R. Martin.
George R. Martin.
Before that book comes out.
J.K. Tolkien.
Whatever it is. Whatever, man.
In
It's
the garden.
Yeah, it's some guy who has a J in his name and he writes the book. Like
Yeah.
he'll die before that. Dude, I got on Facebook one day, by the way, to sidetrack for a second. And I was like, just so you guys know, that guy's gonna die before the last book gets released, and people were freaking out.
They were like, no.
I'm so mad about it. I'm trying not to table flip and ruin my YouTube setup right now at that because I have been reading those books since I was. God, I've been reading those for like the last 10 years and it's still not done.
At least he told the people at HBO how it ends.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Martin can never die, man. He's punk rock Santa. Have you looked at him in interviews?
He will, and he'll talk to anybody. Like, he'll go to cons, just walk around.
We should get him on our show. Is he going to be at New York? Let's talk to him.
He's been doing that at like WonderCon, and he's done that at Denver Comic Con is one that you can frequently find him at. He's done that all the California cons. You can find him wandering around. There's this LA based artist did a whole like the people you find at conventions little art panel, and one was like guy who looks like George R.R. Martin, and then George R.R. Martin, because he's at every Southern California convention.
Nice.
I want to talk to Martin, but I never want to mention fantasy or books. I'll be like, hey man, how about them Knicks? Where's a good place to eat in town? You know, buddy?
He's like,
You
I
can
know.
talk to sci-fi books.
Ah, that too.
Yeah, you can just talk about
I'd
Dune.
run up on him. I'd be like, George R. Martin, what's happening, man?
You're like, what the hell? I need
I've
to
been
talk
reading
to
that
you.
Game of Chairs. That Game of Chairs is amazing, man. Like, dude, I
Game of
love that
Chairs.
series that you're making.
What kind of chairs are they? Like IKEA or?
Yeah. The game of blend between classical and modern chairs that you got going on.
Right?
Beast, man.
Lazy boys, man. Who will sit upon the lazy boy?
What
that interior design is such a cunt.
what other books do we want to give shout outs to that you guys we didn't get to cover but you guys read anyway?
Who would like to go?
I'm out of books. That's why I'm saying that.
Oh, okay.
Green Arrow was pretty solid this week. It continues the Imiko storyline of her fighting the Yakuza in Japan. We get some more stuff with this new version of the Clock King. I thought it was quite entertaining. I was thoroughly entertained by it.
Is Imiko a New 52 version of the one of the Yakuza longbow woman from Longbow Hunters?
You're thinking Shadow.
Yeah.
Shadow is her mother, and Shadow has a redemption arc in this story because Shadow was a bad guy for a good long time, and now Shadow is kind of coming back.
Okay, cool.
Well, here's the thing. Imiko is his half sister because Shadow and Oliver Queen's dad were in a relationship in the Lemire run. So she went from being an Oliver Queen love interest to being a love interest of his dad in the Lemire run.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Ain't that nuts?
That is nuts.
All right, International Iron Man #7.
Oh, yes,
All
go
right.
for it.
Yes,
People are keeping up with this book?
Dude, no, okay.
It's the best
good,
thing
man.
he's writing right now.
Dude, like, okay, so I've been keeping, dude, I love they basically retcon the history of Tony Stark. Well, I guess they kind of did, like, they went into his adoption.
Yeah.
Like, he's the daughter of a SHIELD agent. And, like, she was a SHIELD agent, right?
Yeah, I think, yes, she was.
She was the daughter of a SHIELD agent who got pregnant in the field. She wanted to get rid of it, get it up for adoption. And Maria Stark couldn't have kids, apparently. Or because all you know is, like, it was Howard Stark, we'll try again. They couldn't have kids. And so he goes to see his mom. Like, what a great story. See, to me, that's a good comic book story, guys. A great comic book story is one that adds character. A great comic book story does not need to be, hey guys, we're going to go fight because some inhuman who's part of a group that we don't care about can see the future. Yay, he can see the future. So can like a million other people. Like, as long Doctor Strange will crack open his book of the Vishanti, he'll read a line and he can see the future. Like, Destiny literally had diaries that all the X-Men were hunting for in the 1990s, and she can see the future. Like everybody can see the future. That power is as regular as super strength and flight.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the cornerstone of a story.
No.
A great story is to say Tony Stark is tracking down his heritage, and he goes to see his long-lost mom who gave him up for adoption. And at the end, he was like, I want to get to know you better. And they hug. Awesome end to a story. Well written. I loved it. That is what makes a good story, guys. Make the characters interesting. Give the characters more history. Make them intriguing. Don't have Miles Morales kill Captain America as the last thing. Like, don't you want to read the next issue because Miles Morales killed Captain America? Not really. No, not in particular. Like, it kills me. Like that is okay. Like all new Wolverine. is a good example. All right, like it does not need to be called a Civil War tie-in. It should not be a Civil War tie-in. But I want to know about this Gabby chick, and there's the only reason why I want to know about this Gabby chick is because Wolverine's like in my future, like she's a bad person, like she's a terrible human being, like she'll turn her back, like she'll screw you over, she'll stab you in the back, and no one believes her. But then she turns around and she makes that snotty statement to Wolverine, and she gives him that look like, oh, no one suspects that I'm a bad person, you know, and it's like I want to read now because of that. I want to see how this turns out because of that one thing. Like I haven't been keeping track of all new Wolverine for the entire time it's been running. I just read it today because I was going to be on here, but I was like, you know what? Like I want to know more about what's going on now because of that one thing. Good storytelling involves making characters interesting and giving the person a reason to return. No one wants to see Michael Bay in comic book form. I don't want to see that.
Even if people do want to see it, it's not sustainable.
No.
You're going to have to reboot, or you're going to have to, like, come up with substance after a while. It's why people flock to Marvel movies, but they're fatigued by Transformers movies. Like, they don't need to reboot the Marvel movies right now because people like the characters and the stories that they've been in. It's ironic that the Marvel movies are working better than their comic books right now.
No, dude, no, they need to take a page out of that.
Go a step further with it, and you could even say that's why people are flocking to Rebirth right now and are putting Marvel away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have a lack of those stories. Like there were Marvel stories that came out, but I put them in my catch-up pile because they're just not as intriguing as the Rebirth stories are right now.
And the great ones are few and far between.
They are, and you got to dig through them. You got to okay, Vision number 11. Like Sal's been talking about Vision forever. I've never picked it up. Vision number 11.
Perfect.
Like he literally lays waste to the Avengers. He was like, I'd appreciate your cooperation, but I don't need it. And it's just like, wow, Vision, you are awesome. No, like the movies are a perfect example. You guys know why Captain America does well? Not because he's Captain America. He's a guy that runs around with a shield that no one can destroy.
Oh, Captain America was unsellable for years.
Yeah. The reason why people love Captain America in the movies is because he's a man out of time. He's a guy from the 1940s who suddenly wakes up in the modern age, and like despite everything that's going on, he's still trying to learn how to deal with the world as it exists now. You compile that with the fact that he has a moral compass. He's basically Superman in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in terms of his moral belief system. Like people love that because he provides balance to an otherwise skewed perspective. And then on the other side of that, you got Tony Stark, who's the most narcissistic, selfish guy ever. And they just blend well, perfectly with one another. Not to mention, while all the stuff in Civil War is going on, it's a bigger world because people sit down and they watch Civil War. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot. Thanos is tracking down the Infinity Stones, and Thor's trying to figure out what's going on. And Banner's doing whatever. It creates a great, big, huge, cohesive world, and people love that because all the characters are intriguing and all the characters are interesting. Comic books are the exact same way. Like in all new, all different Marvelists, you don't get that feeling. You don't get that feeling of wow, there's this great, big, huge world that's going on out there because everything's so separate and divided. Like you see all the comics as one shots in and of themselves, isolated to that character. Because the Civil War tie-ins aren't even the Civil War tie-ins. Like the reason why the Civil War 1 tie-ins worked is because you saw things that were going on. He had Civil War issue number 1, where Steve Rogers just takes off. He's like, you know what? Screw you, Shield. He goes underground. The Captain America tie-in for Civil War was Steve Rogers going in and enlisting the aid of Sam Wilson. Yeah. That was the entire base of it. They're like, well, what do we do next? That is a tie-in. A tie-in is it fills in the holes of what's going on. It's not 3 lines from a comic that references Civil War.
What's cool about the overarching events, though, is that it also gives readers a chance to explore the entire world underneath this one event. So it's one of those, and it pulls new readers into new storylines. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I didn't read Captain America before, but now that this first Civil War event is going on, I'm going to go see what's going on in Captain America's world, even though I've mostly been absorbed in Iron Man. It gives you a chance to actually see the world that they live in and see it illustrated as one unit. But they're not doing that now. They've completely disengaged their worlds. And I've been catching up on like little things like indies recently to fill in those Marvel gaps.
Yeah, like Annihilation. Annihilation was awesome because it was an event that was going on during the Civil War. Like people are fighting on Earth, they're squabbling over rights on Shield. Annihilus is wiping out the universe.
The universe is falling apart.
The universe, Nova shows up and he's like, "Hey, look, guys, this whole shield thing right now is the least of your concerns. Like
Yeah.
there's an alien from the negative zone who's discovered the negative zone's version of the power cosmic, and it's literally a giant army of bugs spreading across the cosmos.
He just ate the Nova Corps, man.
Yeah, like they're just
Get the
destroying
raid.
everything. And then, after Annihilation, you get Annihilation Conquest, where Ultron takes over the Phalanx. You've got Thanos, who's brought back to life. He's banned from the realm of Mistress Death. She's like, I'm tired of resurrecting you. You cannot come back here anymore. You are now immortal forever.
I'm sick of your shit. Give me your key.
He's brought back by the Universal Church of Truth. Like, there's so many things that go on, and that's why I love the old Marvel, because there were so many things that went on that create this great big cohesive universe. And I understand that when you're operating under all new and all different, and you're shuffling things around, that it takes time. But I would be more understanding if this were a legitimate reboot, if it was all once, if it was all, hey guys, we're starting from scratch, and we had nothing but 0 issues for months, then I'd be like, okay, cool, because they're building a world. They're not building a world.
No.
They're using a previously existing one, and that's the problem. It's to me, it's nonsense. It's all over the place, and it's scattered, and it's trash.
Well, what's interesting
it's time
is
to hit that big shiny reset button. I feel like
yes,
the reason why Rebirth worked is because DC fucked up, and guarantee you the reason why most people like the things that are happening in Rebirth. There's a reason I'm talking about Rebirth is because there was a subset of DC readers who felt disaffected and excluded from their books. And
Like
Rebirth is their attempt at not only recapturing those readers and recapturing legacies, whatever that means, but they're also trying to reboot their own way of publishing books, their own way of approaching comic book publishing. And Marvel is in a place where not only are they complacent, but they feel indestructible, and they're making glaring errors, and it's made either by omission, like deliberately or through ignorance, but either way, a reckoning is coming for Marvel Publishing. And the fact is, we will see a rebirth for Marvel, and it will come probably in the next 5 years, because people are eventually going. You look at the numbers, like the best-selling Marvel books are not selling as well as the best-selling DC books, and like the best-selling Marvel books are not Civil War. They're not the books that they've touted, are like they're not the books that they're hanging their hat on are not the books that are working. And like, by the way, really quick, Rob's gonna love this. Here's your reboot, Rob, for Marvel. It's going to be, because it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Civil War 2 is only the tip of the iceberg as far as how bad things can get for Marvel Publishing. Things are going to get confusing. They're going to get complicated. They're not sure like when it happened, or who's dead and who's alive. There's a lot of like nebulous crap about what happened thanks to Secret Wars and what they kept. Where's the Ultimate Universe? Who did they keep? We got Miles Morales' family, but what about like Gwen Stacy? And there's too much universe crossing over.
Shit.
I mean, like, you can't even buy a Spider-Gwen book that actually explores the universe that sold the book, because she's too busy using her watch to travel between universes.
That's what made me stop reading.
We don't spend enough damn time in that universe. We're like, the Marvel Universe proper is just spending too much time up its own ass. And I guarantee you, here's what's going to happen. Marvel's going to get the Fox rights back for Fantastic Four. Reed Richards is going to come back, and he's going to have a little bit of Beyonder power left. And he's going to go, what is happening?
Dude, yes.
And he's going to go,
I want to see that.
He's going to go, I spent too much time making a multiverse. I didn't spend nearly enough time fixing the problems that we had in front of us. And then he's going to go, wah, and just reboot or reclean or reset Marvel proper. And that's how they're going to rebirth Marvel. It's going
to call it Marvel Reckoning.
Yeah.
I would really like that, because the thing about Disney, and I think it's something that Marvel on its publishing end is forgetting, is that even though Disney is one of those things that's just about too big to fail, the mouse is always going to come for its money. And when publishing is an easy game to lose at. It's not, especially, when you're looking at physical publishing and even online publishing, it's a tough industry, and though there's money to be made, there's not a lot of money, and it's very, very competitive. Yeah. And once those profits really take even a little bit of a dip, we're going to see that reboot. And I think there is a big hustle to get that reboot out.
Yeah.
I mean, if Civil War hasn't shown them anything, it should be lighting a fire under them.
Oh, absolutely.
But Disney's really quick to act. So I wouldn't be surprised if it comes in the next couple of years, not just the next 5 or 10.
Yes.
Dude, I am so down with that.
Light.
Yeah, like, Sal, I am so down with that. Yeah, you know what you do? You don't even use Reed Richards. You got Molecule Man just sitting out there. All right.
Somewhere.
Like you got. I want to read some. The guy controls molecules regardless of where they are. He literally he could just control the multiverse. All right. Now he absorbed the powers of the Beyonders and channeled that power into Doctor Doom during Secret Wars. Like you have your way out right there. Like if Marvel put me in charge, here's exactly what I'm gonna do. Put me in charge. All right. You've got all this crap going on. You have like some non-conscript character, or you've got some small-time character that's not really relevant.
Night Thrasher.
Night Thrasher. They show like they literally go to Molecule Man, or there's like, Molecule Man, I know you're there. Come and talk to me. And like Molecule Man will show up or something like that, and he's like, look at this universe. Like, this is insane. Like, is this really what was supposed to happen after Secret Wars? And he's like, nope, fix, and just wipe it all out and restart again. and then what you do what DC Rebirth did. You bring back Peter Parker. He's still married to Mary Jane Watson. Miles Morales still has his family, but Peter Parker does whatever he does. Maybe he's Spider-Man, maybe he's not. Whatever.
Yeah.
Miles Morales is Spider-Man. Like, you take the things that people love and you combine them with new stuff.
Yes.
And that's like the biggest problem with Marvel, and this is something I think Marvel struggle with. So Marvel will not admit when they're wrong. All right, Marvel, like, you go to Marvel and you're like, hey, look, like, all new, all different Marvel isn't selling.
Yeah.
Like, literally, DC's crushing you in sales. Like, I was raised on Marvel Comics. I got into comics because of Marvel Comics, and I'm one of the most diehard Marvel fans that you're ever going to see. I had a channel that started out called Marvel Explained. It wasn't called DC Explained. It was called Marvel Explained. I changed it to Comics Explained so I could cover more than just Marvel stuff.
And thank God, because there's so much better stuff right now.
Dude, yeah, and I'm not hardly reading Marvel stuff. Like, I've read like 2 or 3 Marvel titles, and DC is more interesting to me. But Marvel would sit in the face of that and say, nope, it works. It works fine. It's just, no, you just don't know what good comics are. No, Marvel. Yeah. Like, you just don't know what good comics are.
It's the kid in class that can't take criticism. It's the kid in your writing or your freaking creative design class who, when the teacher goes, yo, this is shit, he goes, you just don't get it. It's just too deep for you. You're just dumb.
It's
okay?
that. It's the rich kid who can't take criticism. It's the rich kid who can't take criticism, because at the end of the day, they can't take criticism, and then they go home to their massive mansion and their very boring swimming pool and their Lamborghinis, and they're like, this is fine, but it could be better. Like, it's
I'm not out of touch, it's the children.
Yes, it's the children who are wrong. But anyway, we turned this into a railing against Marvel. We do love Marvel, and that's the problem, is that we all love Marvel so much we just want to see them do well. It's like yelling at your kids, man. You just want them to succeed, and all they're doing is they're going out there and they're when they're doing this, they're doing this. I'm just
put the pipe down, Junior.
That's right.
You started to sound like Rick there a little bit, Sal. You were like, and the kids, they're just doing stuff.
More. You're just screwing it up. You're just screwing up Marvel.
Yeah. Hey, you guys out there, like, if you guys want to know when we stop caring about Marvel, you'll know in 2 ways. 1, we'll stop talking about it on the podcast, and 2, you'll stop seeing videos about Marvel content.
Exactly.
Like, that's like when nobody uploads any Marvel content, that's when you know that Marvel's officially when it's just like, no care.
Well, here's a little
stuff in there.
Here's a little reality for you.
Daredevil and Ant-Man are still great.
Civil War 2 books don't perform on our channels.
Yeah. I haven't even done anything Civil War. Like, I've done a little bit of Civil War 2 stuff. Like, I did a little bit of a lead up. Yeah. But then when they were like, we're postponing it for like a year and a half, then I was like, okay, fine. You know what? You guys be that way. Whatever.
The only reason why they would succeed is because they're like, what's happening? Yeah. I don't want to buy what's happening.
Hey guys, here's a genius idea. Here's a genius idea, everybody. Like, let's launch an event called Civil War 2, and let's hire the artist to do it when the artist's wife is expecting. Now, a baby is a wonderful gift if you can tolerate crying children, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, we're all very happy for you.
It's not like it's something you don't know is happening. I mean, it's not like you don't know. Like, it's not like a woman just suddenly becomes pregnant and gives birth to a baby.
It's not like we don't have all of human experience to track how long it takes for the baby to...
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I've watched a lot of those I'm pregnant and didn't know it shows on TV, so maybe.
So I've seen I'm at that age where some of my friends are starting to get pregnant. And the thing is, though, is that they don't just go, okay, my husband and I, we're pregnant, we're going to have a baby. It's time to quit our jobs completely.
Right.
And take a really long hiatus from work, the both of us. I don't know anybody who does that. I mean, in an ideal world, that would be really awesome, and I'm sure good for them, and yay, they get to spend that quality time with their child. But at the same time, I don't know many people who just completely give everything up when they have a kid for such a long period of time.
No, I don't expect that either. But if you're a company running a business, like, okay, if I'm hiring people, you know, and I have a guy who's writing scripts for me, and he's like, hey man, my wife and I are going to be expecting a child. It's like, okay, when do you think the time will come when that will take a major portion of your life? Well, when it gets to the point where my wife would rather be comforted, when it gets to the point where it's easier for me to make life easier on her by doing things that she would normally be able to do on her own. Okay, well, that will take over your time. So I will replace you with somebody who can do the things I need until such a time that you can come back and work. You don't fire him. You just put him on something else. Like you say, here, okay, fine.
You work on something else.
If you work on something else, you don't work on the flagship crossover event that you're launching for your new brand. You don't do that. Like, you're literally like, okay, look, man, like, I understand that you guys are having a family. That's awesome. That needs to be your priority. But we are Marvel Comics, and we are publishing the single biggest crossover event that's launched since we started the event. Like, since we started All New, All Different Marvel, we got to put somebody on here who can dedicate their time to it to the best of their ability. Like, that's what you do.
Yeah.
All right. So you just have what's his name? Just write draw graphic novels or something that will just come out whenever, you know, and
or
do
just
that.
put Marquez.
Like,
he was drawing International Iron Man. Just like, you got to draw you fulfill your contract. You do Invincible or in like Iron Man. You don't get to do the crossover. I'm sorry.
yeah, like you just don't do that. I mean, you know, I wouldn't do that. I would be like, hey, look, okay, fine, that's cool if you got that, but I've got stuff that I need done right now. If you can't do those things right now, then feel free to take whatever time you need and come back when you can.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I would have done, because I mean they're contracted anyway. I guess, but see, it depends though, because I imagine if they just paid them up front, well then I guess they want to get their money's worth. You know, I don't know how that worked behind the scenes.
Contract-wise, I don't know what the stipulations in their contract are. I know for my design firm, when we were doing shit and, somebody got pregnant, had to go on maternity leave, or if it was a couple or something like that, a lot of times something similar to what you were saying was negotiated. There were work from home negotiations, there were, light project negotiations, all sorts of stuff like that to accommodate the schedule. Because, my old firm, we made websites for Disney. That was something we did. And it was like, the Disney project is not going to stop because one of our designers goes on maternity leave. The Disney project keeps going, and she either works from home when she can, or we put somebody else's lead on that project.
Right.
But the world doesn't stop.
No.
It doesn't?
It doesn't, shockingly enough.
Yeah. But anyway, my point was simply just like, we want to see them do well. We want to see them make great books, and we want to enjoy them. That's all. Nothing terrible about that. I don't think there's anything like unexpected or out of left field or out of line about just wanting great books from Marvel. They were the ones who set a standard for us that we want to see great stuff deliver. I don't see why not. But with that said, I think we're gonna have to bring this show to a close, man. What do you guys think?
I think so.
Well, Rob, you're muted, though, so...
So Rob doesn't get a say in this.
We've been ranting on long enough.
Yeah.
He was still ranting.
Yeah.
I've been ranting this whole time. Just no one's heard me.
But
That'd be hilarious.
But let's take a second and whore ourselves out. Everybody, what's happening on your channels, and where can everybody find you?
Ladies first, I think.
I believe so.
All right. I have...
That was good timing.
All right.
That high five.
High five.
Air five. You guys can find me at that Sea Monster pretty much on everything, and Sea Monster Comics spelled with the letter C. My channel, I do a live show called Bedtime Stories, where we do just kind of a late night talk with the chat. So if you want to talk to me, bitch about pop culture up until very, very late at night, please join me on Wednesdays and Fridays 12 a.m. Central Time, 1 a.m. Eastern Time. And then I also post convention coverage because I do get hired to host and do stand-up at comic book and anime conventions. So you can follow me for that too. And I post comic book reviews and hauls for all my sweet collector shit.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
you can find me there at that sea monster spelled with a C.
Joel, what's up?
Well, if you head on over to my channel, of course, I do weekly reviews of all the new big books that came out. So everything we talked about today and more. You can also see my newest review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Ghost, first episode of Season 4. I know I'm a little late getting that one up, but again, I don't have cable, so I watch all these things days after. Anyway, I thought it was cool. Ghost Rider looked cool. I've been a big booster of Robbie Reyes. I can't wait for November so I can read his new book. I hope more people buy it this time so it lasts longer than 2 volumes.
Nice. Rob, what's up on Comics Explained and Rob Plays?
Well, I actually just wanted to run by to Joel, man. Okay, so tell me what you think here. The fact that it was obvious they didn't have a high budget for Ghost Rider,
He looked great though.
but they still did it. They still did it really well.
Oh, yeah.
Like
They
for the
used
couple
the money
times
in the right places.
They used it in the right place. I thought they did a pretty good job with him. Tomorrow is Son of Superman from DC Rebirth.
Nice.
Parts 1 and 2. So they're, I don't remember how long they are, 20 minutes, something like that. And then what is today? What is Saturdays after that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I have anything coming out on a Saturday or Sunday.
That's
Yeah.
fine. It's a low traffic day anyway.
Yeah.
And over here on Comic Pop, which is where I am, but not where the show is, we just released our episode of Back Issues in which we covered Ninja Turtles Batman crossover. Check it out. It's a great one. Next week is going to feature a certain aquatic Justice League member. Look forward to talk about that. And
Namor the Submariner. Yes!
Prepare for Submariner!
About damn time.
Yeah, we're not doing Namor. But come on by, and if you also want to check me out on Twitch, we're also at twitch.tv/ComicPopTV. So like us over there and check us out. We're going to be rolling out with some new stuff. So see you on
You
both
also
channels.
did a ton of podcasts this week, too. Tell people about that.
That's right. We also, on Wednesdays, we have a live show on comicpop.net with myself and Joel over here from Cape Joel. This week, we're going to be talking about YouTube and all the scary stuff that's being announced about heroes and whatnot. It's going to be a really salty show, so come check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
I was saying those other podcasts you were on, not the one you do. I wasn't trying to self-promote. I was trying to promote you.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's a great show. Elseworlds Exchange. Come check it out. And then subscribe on iTunes.
Yep.
We just had Jason Inman on, so, check it out. It's fun. We talk about Spawn.
God, what a good topic.
Yeah, Spawn. He's
Spawn
great.
was amazing.
Toys.
But yeah, awesome guys. All right, well I guess does this episode end? Are we?
Yeah,
wrapping it up?
let's leave. Rob, do you want to give him one more splooge before we go?
Splooge.
One for the road.
One for the road.
All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Later, guys.